Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here for round 3 of Daily D&T this week. This hand is probably a trap. This hand doesn't do anything. So we have no early turn 1 or 2 play. Port's relatively weak without something else there early, such as an Ether Vial to set up. So even though this has a fair mix of lands and spells, I'd rather mulligan to something that's a little more stable. Chef's kiss this hand. Mwah. Let's keep it in bottomless Jitte. Alright, we might be playing against like a blue-red Delver deck. In which case, I want to try to resolve this vial as early as possible. And then we'll Swords to Plowshares the Delver when convenient. A Lightning Bolt. That means I won't just ram out Thalia on 2. I'll probably just Swords to Plowshares. And it looks like I'll be doing that in my opponent's upkeep. My opponent could have a Spell Pierce in hand, which would be slightly annoying, but I don't think I care about that in the grand scheme of things. I will fire off a Swords to Plowshares in response to this. Wonderful. So the reason why you do it at that exact time is so that you can go and, if they have something like a Spell Pierce, you force them to fetch and you make the Brainstorm worse. Really happy to see my opponent spinning their wheels instead of just going and playing out something like a Young Pyromancer or a Dreadheart Arcanist. Those would be quite good against me. Oh, this is a very interesting draw. So there's now a billion ways to play this turn. So my opponent has a Lightning Bolt. And I'm probably going to lose a Thalia in this turn. So I think the way I want to do this is lead on a Thalia. Which will probably just resolve and ultimately get Lightning Bolted. So I'm going to make a real heads-up play. So this Lightning Bolt is aimed at my Thalia, right? And my opponent doing this makes me think that they have a Daze or Force of Will. So we are going to shut that off as a line right now. Lightning Bolt targets this Thalia, so we will keep this Thalia. And then this will mean that my Stoneforge Mystic resolves. And we're going to be taking a Batter's Skull with this first one, and force my opponent to use their turn dealing with the Stoneforge. We'll then get Sword of Fire and Ice with the second one. Ooh. Oh man, so many bolts. Triple bolt from my opponent. So now I have to think if my opponent's behavior from last turn was actually because they have a Daze, or if it was just because their plan was just bolt everything. Anyway. I'm going to play around Daze. Okay, and we just kind of take that one there in short order. So what do I like against Blue-Red Delver? Path to Exile, Council's Judgment, and that's probably it. My Revokers are very bad. Let's get those right out of the deck, and then I'm only going to have to make one more cut. That's going to be Palace Jailer, because it's very poor against both True Name Nemesis and Young Pyromancer. Looking at my sideboard, I would consider boarding in Remorseful Cleric, just as something that can trade with a Delver if I have any other flex slot that I don't think is great. I think most of my flex slots are actually pretty good. There's some awkwardness in that, like, we're going to have 9 1-drops while also wanting to very aggressively put Sanctum Prelate on 1. But I think I can live with that. We have an unimpressive hand that is not bad enough to throw back. Again, in this matchup, I would love a Mom or Vile start to just, like, force my opponent to interact with me. But that's not where we're at. So I'm just kind of afraid of my opponent playing something like an Arcanist on turn 2 that I can't actually answer. Oh, thank you for having a reactive hand. That's actually just wonderful for me. If I wait a turn, my turn 3 can be play Thalia with Caracas backup. Charming Prince looking pretty poor here. The alternative is, like, try to get Thalia removed or bolted this turn, keep the Stoneforge on the board so I can potentially blink it with Charming Prince. So if my opponent plays a True Name on their turn, I really need to try to Council's Judgment on my turn, and playing my Thalia doesn't... Alright. I'm going to ignore the bouncing aspect of this Caracas, and I'm just going to try to jam this Thalia. I assume it will get a Lightning Bolt out of my opponent. Maybe now it'll get a Counterspell. But I'm hoping this Thalia gets answered, that my opponent taps out for a threat, and then I can deal with it via Council's Judgment. That's kind of the hope right now. It really smells like True Name. My opponent has double Island here, and will probably get Mountain here. So this is not playing into what I actually wanted, which was my Council's Judgment to nab a True Name immediately. Okay. So my spells are going to resolve this turn. So that's good news for Bill fans. That gets me a Sword of Fire and Ice. We're going to play out a Mother of Runes. So we're okay against the True Name that's on board. I can either just ignore it via Sword of Fire and Ice, or I can remove it via Council's Judgment. No, we will not pay for that. My opponent has another Bolt here and takes out the Mother of Runes. It's slightly awkward, but it kind of is what it is. Yep. So this means we could sneak the Sword of Fire and Ice into play and get it equipped to Stoneforge Mystic as soon as this turn. But is that what I want to do? So opponent has 3 cards. I think I'll play this one patiently. So I'm going to cast Charming Prince around Daze. We're going to dump in a piece of equipment. We'll dump in the Sword of Fire and Ice. I'll then blink that Stoneforge Mystic, and I'll use that to get a Batterskull. And now if I rip a land, I have the possibility of Council's Judgment, remove the True Name Nemesis, plus... Okay. Alright. So this turn I have Council's Judgment away something for 3 mana. I have Source of Plowshare something for 1 mana, and then Equip for 2 mana after that's all said and done. I expect that my opponent has Smash to Smithereens or equivalent, but I might make them spend some mana fighting first. So we will take out True Name Nemesis. Problem 1 solved. Problem 2, we take out Dreadhorde Arcanist while also playing around Spell Pierce. And number 3, we're going to equip this to Charming Prince. We don't want to lose the Stoneforge Mystic because that will let us put in Batterskull. Alright, it was a Braid, so it kind of had the right read there. That's only actually a slight annoyance on this board. Like, it's going to chump block forever, but like we have Charming Prince get another piece of equipment right around the corner as well. That was a shuffle off the Ponder. Oh! Well, nice. Is that worth Council's Judgmenting? Feels like the answer to that question is yes. So opponent probably needs another Abrade or True Name this turn. Like, in some way, invalidating the Batterskull, I think, is very important here. What the F is Beacon Bolt? Damage to target creature equal to the total number of instant and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. Jumpstart, you can cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card. Okay. So it is an expensive removal spell that you can rebuy. Good to know. So note, I am now leaving up Batterskull Bounce. So I can probably ride this Batterskull to victory the rest of this match pretty easily. Alright, well, we're not bouncing the Batterskull anymore. So that Jumpstart could end up killing my Germ. And we're still leaving up the Batterskull bounce. You know, because that matters. Alright, so they discard a Force of Will, they kill my Germ token. That's okay. That's also okay. It's good, but they're hellbent. I have 3 power on board. Oh, baby, and a Recruiter. What do I even do with that? So I can Recruiter and put Sanctum Prelate on 1. So I guess I need to think about, like, what can beat me at this point. So, like, let's attack for 3 well, I think. Alright, I don't even need to think about what I was going to do with that. I had a lot of options. I was going to get a Flicker Wisp, and then the question was, do I Flicker Wisp my Recruiter to just get another Flicker Wisp, or do I Flicker Wisp the Batterskull to create another immediate body? Either way, we easily beat like a True Name Nemesis or any single body that's played out, so I think my opponent's on 0 outs. But they could run some weird board sweeper or something like that. You never know. Alright. I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you're enjoying these, and if you are, please consider supporting. There's currently no daily D&T donation lined up for next week. Cheers!